Adidas and Puma are two of the most recognizable sports brands on the planet. Their logos are burned into global culture, worn by elite athletes, musicians, and everyday people alike. But what almost nobody realizes is that both of these multi-billion-dollar empires were born in the same tiny German town, built by two brothers, and fueled by a feud so vicious it fractured families, poisoned communities, and lasted longer than both men's lives. This isn't a story about shoes. It's a story about ego, betrayal, power, and obsession. A story that cuts through two world wars: Nazi Germany, corruption, propaganda, and ruthless competition. A story where blood ties meant nothing once ambition took control. This is the true story of Adolf and Rudolf Dassler. Rudolf Dassler was born in 1898. 2 years later, his younger brother Adolf was born. Everyone called him Adi. They grew up in Herzogenaurach, a small, unremarkable town in Bavaria, known mainly for its textile and shoemaking factories. Their father worked long hours in one of those factories, barely earning enough to keep the family afloat. Their mother ran a laundry business out of their home to make ends meet. As children, the brothers delivered clean clothes around town, earning them a local nickname that quietly reminded everyone where they came from: poor, unimportant, disposable. But the brothers were nothing alike. Rudolf was loud, charming, and ambitious. He loved people, persuasion, and power. Adolf was quiet, introverted, obsessive, and fixated on detail. Where Rudolf dreamed of dominance, Adolf dreamed of perfection. Where Rudolf wanted attention, Adolf wanted control. World War I interrupted everything. Both brothers were drafted into the German army. When they returned, Germany was broken. The economy had collapsed. Inflation was rampant. Their mother's laundry business was dead. Their future looked like a dead end. Adolf refused to accept that. He had always been fascinated by athletics and by the mechanics of shoes. At the time, athletes competed in generic footwear. There were no specialized designs, no performance optimization. Adolf believed this was insanity. If you could design shoes specifically for running, jumping, and competing, athletes would perform better. And if they performed better, they would win. With no money, no electricity, and no access to proper materials, Adolf turned his mother's laundry shed into a workshop. He scavenged battlefields for scraps: leather from helmets, fabric from parachutes, rubber from discarded equipment. When the town's power grid failed, he attached tools to a bicycle and had friends pedal to generate energy. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. His shoes were durable, functional, precise. Athletes in the town noticed. Demand followed. Rudolf saw opportunity. He quit his job and joined Adolf. It looked like the perfect partnership. Adolf built the product. Rudolf sold the vision. In 1924, they officially founded the Dassler Brothers Shoe Factory. And for a while, it worked. Rudolf pitched their shoes to sports clubs across Germany. Adolf refined designs obsessively, experimenting with spikes, studs, and materials. They expanded into football boots just as the sport exploded in popularity. Rudolf gave away free pairs strategically, knowing quality would sell itself. Orders increased. They moved out of the laundry shed and into a proper factory. More workers, better machines, real growth. Then Hitler came to power. Both brothers joined the Nazi Party. Some argue it was necessary to survive as business owners in Germany at the time. But the evidence suggests it wasn't just survival. Rudolf was openly supportive. Adolf, while quieter, was deeply involved in Nazi youth programs. Their business thrived under the regime. Their defining moment came in 1936, when Berlin hosted the Olympic Games. The first Olympics ever broadcast on television. Adolf immediately understood the opportunity. If elite athletes wore Dassler shoes, the entire world would see. There was one athlete who mattered more than anyone else: Jesse Owens, an African-American sprinter, a direct contradiction to Hitler's ideology of racial superiority. Supporting him was dangerous, but Adolf didn't hesitate. He went directly to the Olympic Village, showed Owens a custom pair of shoes, and gave them to him for free. Owens wore them. He won 4 gold medals. The world watched as a black athlete shattered Nazi propaganda while wearing Dassler shoes. Hitler was furious, but the damage was done. Orders poured in from across the globe. The Dassler brand became international overnight. From the outside, it looked like success. Inside, the rot had begun. The pressure of growth magnified everything the brothers hated about each other. Rudolf believed sales built the company. Adolf believed the product did. Each thought the other was replaceable. When World War II began, the factory was forced to pivot to military production. Adolf controlled manufacturing. Rudolf felt sidelined. Power shifted. They were also trapped together, living in the same house with their wives and children.
Then came the night that ended everything. During an Allied bombing raid, both families hid in the basement. When Adolf arrived, he muttered, "The bastards are back again." He claimed he meant the bombers. Rudolf believed he meant him. From that moment, the brothers were enemies.
Rudolf was drafted and sent to the front. Adolf stayed behind, running the factory, now producing tank parts. Rudolf became convinced Adolf was trying to erase him. He sent letters accusing Adolf of incompetence and demanded his wife be given authority in his absence. Adolf refused. Rudolf retaliated by reporting Adolf to Nazi authorities, accusing him of hoarding materials. Adolf was interrogated. After the war, the Americans began denazification trials. Rudolf was imprisoned as a suspected Nazi collaborator and spent over a year in a prisoner of war camp. Adolf was free. Rudolf believed Adolf had betrayed him to the Americans. When Adolf was later investigated for war profiteering, Rudolf testified against him. That was it. No reconciliation, no forgiveness. In 1948, the brothers split everything: the factory, the workers, the town. Adolf formed Adidas, a combination of his nickname and surname. Rudolf formed Puma. And then the real war began. Employees were forced to choose sides. The town split in half along a river. Adidas on one side, Puma on the other. Schools separated. Social lives segregated. Dating across brands was taboo. People looked at each other's shoes before deciding whether to speak. Herzogenaurach became known as the town of bent necks. Adolf introduced the 3 stripes, a design signature that changed everything. Rudolf scrambled to respond. Both companies chased dominance, sabotaging each other at every turn. The rivalry climaxed in 1954. West Germany reached the World Cup final against Hungary, a team that hadn't lost in 4 years. It started raining. Adolf had designed boots with adjustable screw-in studs. German players kept traction. Hungarian players slipped. Germany won. It was a miracle. A nation broken by war found pride again. Adidas became legendary. Rudolf never forgave it. From Olympic sabotage to secret deals, the rivalry escalated. Their sons inherited the hatred. In 1970, Puma betrayed Adidas by secretly signing Pelé. Before kickoff, Pelé knelt to tie his shoes. Cameras zoomed in. Puma owned the moment. The feud never healed. Rudolf died without speaking to Adolf. Adolf refused to attend his funeral. They were buried at opposite ends of the same cemetery. Only decades later did the companies reconcile publicly. By then, Nike had already won. 2 brothers, 1 obsession, and a war that built empires, destroyed families, and proved one brutal truth. When ambition replaces loyalty, anything survives untouched.